Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Martial Universe Season 10 Part 78 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. Ice fragments fell from all over the sky like incomparably gorgeous snow. However, under this beauty hid a frightening strength that made one shudder. Who could have imagined that the combined attack of the 7th Seat King trio would actually be broken by her with such ease? Is this the power of the Ice Master? Lin Dong's fists involuntarily tightened upon witnessing this scene. Such power was indeed without equal. No wonder she was able to become the strongest person after the symbol ancestor. Grug. The 7th Seat King trio in the sky were dumbstruck as they gazed upon this scene. Soon after, they involuntarily spat out a mouthful of black blood. The demonic chi around them rapidly weakened as they trembled. It was obvious that they had been badly injured. Ying Huan's pretty eyes were emotionless as she looked at the 7th Seat King trio. Her body moved, and she appeared in front of them in a ghost-like fashion as frightening cold chi swept forth from her hand. The expressions of the 7th Seat King trio drastically changed when they saw that Ying Huan refused to give them any opportunity to catch their breath. The trio moved and retreated in different directions. Cold chi gathered in Ying Huan's pretty eyes. With a clench of her hand, a long ice blue spear extended from within it. It shook and split into three. The three icy shadows caught up to the 7th Seat King trio, penetrating the air as they ruthlessly pierced towards the trio. Bang! The expressions in the 7th Seat King trio's eyes rapidly changed when they saw Ying Huan's relentless pursuit. A low roar rang out as monstrous demonic chi swept forth and transformed into a huge demonic chi light barrier in front of them. This was an attempt to obstruct Ying Huan. However, the coldness in Ying Huan's eyes intensified in response to their defense. The ice spear in her hand did not hesitate and thrust straight into the demonic chi. Crack! The viscous demonic chi instantly turned into ice, while the ice spear easily penetrated through and ruthlessly pierced their bodies. Hiss hiss. The incomparably powerful Devil Emperor armor distorted and deformed due to the ice spear. In the end, it was pierced by cold chi. The ice spear, which contained an indescribably cold chi, penetrated the bodies of the trio. Grug. The bodies of the trio flew backwards in a miserable fashion as they wildly spat out black blood. The cold chi on their bodies spread, causing a thin layer of frost to appear on the surface of their bodies. Who? Lin Dong watched as the 7th Seat King trio in the blink of an eye and lightly exhaled. This power was truly terrifying. The current Ying Huan had yet to fully awaken, yet her strength had likely already surpassed ordinary top experts who had experienced 2 reincarnation tribulations. He wondered just how frightening her strength would be when she finally awakened completely. In the sky, the 7th Seat King trio were forced to gather together again. Demonic chi continuously gushed from their bodies to block the erosion of cold chi. They understood that should their bodies become frozen, they would end up turning into ice fragments with a flick of Ying Huan's finger. Back then, several Yimo, who were stronger than them, had ended up dying in such a manner under her fair jade-like hands. The three of them watched as Ying Huan once again cast her gaze at them, as terror flitted across their eyes. Ying Huan's penetrating icy-blue eyes were still void of any emotion. At this moment, she was akin to an ice. All emotions had been frozen under this layer of ice. All of you ought to die. She looked at the 7th Seat King trio and mumbled to herself. Her body moved and an ancient ice-cold symbol surfaced. After which, it turned into a ray of light composed of the ultimate cold chi and shot towards the trio. The light beam tore through the sky. It seemed as though space itself had been frozen by the cold chi. Subsequently, the 7th Seat King trio were horrified to feel the space around them freeze, causing them to be unable to even move. All they could do was watch the cold chi light ray rush over while accompanied by a destructive force. An extremely intense fear suddenly surged from their eyes. However, the space in front of the trio suddenly distorted just as the cold chi light ray was about to engulf them. Subsequently, a black figure appeared out of nowhere. Ha ha, Ice Master, why bully these young fellas with your status? The black figure laughed softly the moment it appeared. However, the soft laughter contained a graveness and wariness that could not be hidden. Subsequently, he extended his hand, and a strange evil eye appeared within it. He opened his hand and the evil eye also suddenly opened. A pitch-black, heart-chilling and viscous beam of light shot out from the eye. Finally, it collided with the cold chi light ray. The two destructive light rays violently clashed, as a frightening ripple unfurled, tearing apart the clouds in the sky. The sky shook and Yin Huan's enchanting figure faintly trembled. She was forced a couple of steps back. Those pretty eyes of hers were suffused with frost as she looked at the black figure that had appeared and said, "Third seat king? Finally willing to show yourself." All eyes present converged and saw a black-clothed man standing with a smile in front of the seventh seat king. His hand was currently covered by a thin layer of ice, while the evil eye in his hand had been sealed shut. "Third seat king?" Lin Dong's expression involuntarily changed upon hearing these words. His body moved and he quickly appeared behind Yin Huan. He could detect an extremely dense and dangerous fluctuation from the body of this third seat king. Clearly, this fellow was someone with a strength comparable to those top experts who had experienced 3 reincarnation tribulations. Such a person was considered the top fighting strength of the Yimo even during the Great World War. It was unexpected that even such an existence had made an appearance this time around. The third seat king glanced at Lin Dong. Subsequently, he smiled. With a faint jerk, he shattered the thin layer of ice on his hand. As he slowly lifted his head, Lin Dong discovered an extremely ferocious-looking scar on the right side of his face. The scar stretched from the corner of his lips to the back of his ear. At a glance, it seemed as if someone had once cut open his head. "Since you are here, I originally did not wish to reveal myself. After all, this wound made me a little afraid," the third seat king smilingly said as his finger traced the ferocious scar on his face. However, that smile of his appeared increasingly warm. Yin Huan indifferently glanced at him while frightening cold chi gathered in her hand. "In that case, I shall freeze you into an ice statue this time around." He. The third seat king softly chuckled and said, "I'm afraid that the current you won't be able to do it. In that case, you can come and give it a try." Yin Huan's eyes remained ice-cold. With a swirl of her hand, an extremely frightening cold chi swept out from her body, causing the surrounding space to emit slight cracking sounds. The third seat king stared at Yin Huan as the smile on his face grew increasingly wider. "Ha ha, I really want to kill you. Back then, I was turned into such a miserable state by you, leading to me losing all my face in front of the emperor." The gentle-looking face of the third seat king gradually distorted after his words sounded. His eyes contained an endless bitterness and resentment. "I will definitely kill you today." The third seat king suddenly took a step forward as demonic chi dashed towards the sky, directly covering the area with 1,000 miles. Even the scorching sun in the sky had been engulfed by demonic chi and no longer dared to show itself. This aura caused the land to shake. The expression in Lin Dong's eyes changed when he saw this. One of his hands pulled Yin Huan's icy cool hand. Yin Huan detected Lin Dong's actions and her delicate body stiffened slightly. Subsequently, she gradually relaxed. She turned her head and gave Lin Dong a reassuring smile. "He won't be able to attack." Lin Dong was startled upon hearing this. He was clearly unable to comprehend what she meant. "Someone will stop him." Yin Huan faintly smiled. Soon after, she looked towards a certain part spot. "Do you still like to hide so much?" Heh, little junior sister's senses are as sharp as ever." The space at that spot gradually distorted after her voice sounded. Subsequently, a soft laughter spread. As space distorted, a silver-robed figure slowly walked out from within. The figure's pale hair scattered from his head, and his body appeared rather skinny. However, the most unusual aspect was his eyes. Those eyes were a resplendent silver, and it was as though there was an extremely mysterious ripple within it. Surprise flashed across Lin Dong's eyes when he saw this figure. This was because this person was actually the mysterious individual whom he had encountered at the deepest part of the celestial demon Martin tribe cave. This person was actually also one of the 8 ancient masters? This must be Lin Dong, right? The silver-eyed man smilingly looked at Lin Dong. After which, he glanced at the latter's hand, which was holding Ying Huan. The corners of his lips curled slightly as he said, "That seems to be the case. You are the Spatial Master." Lin Dong looked at the silver-eyed man. He could feel the spatial ancestral symbol in his body shake slightly when the latter appeared, and immediately understood the latter's identity. The silver-eyed man smiled and nodded, "My apologies. I was previously trapped for some time because of the techniques of Devil Prison. However, I did not slack off, little junior sister. Take a look, I came the moment I escaped. At least I am faster than the Lightning Master, right?" Ying Huan's icy blue eyes glanced at him indifferently. Only then did the Spatial Master pause and helplessly shook his head. "Why are you still like this?" He turned around after speaking and smilingly looked at the third seat king. "Ah, an old acquaintance. Have you been well over the years? Wasn't your face torn apart by little junior sister back then? Eh, you recovered?" Lin Dong was a little stunned. Why did he feel that this Spatial Master was somewhat talkative? The earlier extraordinary demeanor displayed when he appeared had been greatly diminished by his chattiness. The third seat king frowned as he looked at the Spatial Symbol Master who managed to get here in time. The former sighed helplessly in his heart. This person was really quick. It looks I won't be able to kill her today. The third seat king lazily stretched his waist. A strange smile was lifted from the corners of his lips. However, we have also achieved our aim. Ying Huan and the Spatial Master's eyes suddenly hardened upon hearing this. It was at this moment that Lin Dong's heart violently thudded. He hurriedly turned his head towards the distant ocean where he suddenly felt an extremely ruthless demonic chi appear at an extremely distant place. Ying Huan lightly exhaled. Her eyes became completely ice-cold. The Cosmic Evil Devil King has escaped. Cosmic Evil Devil King? Lin Dong's expression changed drastically upon hearing this. The Flame Master had mentioned before that the devil-suppressing prison he was suppressing was primarily to suppress the Cosmic Evil Devil King. He had even withdrew the power of his avatar because of this unexpected occurrence. In spite of this, he had still failed to suppress the Cosmic Evil Devil King? The smile on the Spatial Master's face slowly receded. An icy glint flickered in his slithy eyes as he stared at the third seat king and coldly said, "So the reason you invested such a great amount of forces is not because you intended to attack the Chaos Master. Instead, you were planning on rescuing the Cosmic Evil Devil King." That is not completely true. It will naturally be best if we can both rescue the Cosmic Evil Devil King and take the opportunity to kill the Chaos Master. The third seat king smiled faintly and said, "In that case, I can only make up for it by having you remain here." A smile surfaced on the face of the Spatial Master. However, his smile was filled with iciness. Soon after, he slowly extended a rather skinny hand from his sleeve. Silver light flashed at the tips of his fingers. It was a power that Lin Dong was extremely familiar with, the power of the spatial ancestral symbol. "Is that so?" The third seat king narrowed his eyes. That mysterious eye on his palm once again cracked open. "You have been an eyesore since back then. I must at least give you 2 slaps today." The Spatial Master retorted with a chuckle. "Ha ha." The third seat king also smiled faintly. His pupils suddenly shrunk an instant later. That palm of his, which contained the strange eye, suddenly slapped furiously behind him as monstrous demonic chi unfurled. Bang! The demonic palm swept past and an area of space suddenly distorted. A fist that flickered with a silver glow was thrown. It clashed head-on with the demonic palm. Violent ripples spread and a thunderous sound spread in the sky. "You still like to use such tricks even after all these years?" The third seat king turned his head, looked at the silver-eyed figure that had appeared behind him and remarked with a sneer. A startled expression flitted across Lin Dong's eyes upon seeing this. He glanced at where the Spatial Master had been previously standing, only to find that the Spatial Master there was slowly disappearing. Clearly, the latter had already attacked before Lin Dong had sensed anything. As expected of the Spatial Master, Lin Dong secretly praised in his heart. It had not been long since he had obtained the spatial ancestral symbol. He was obviously inferior to the Spatial Master in terms of spatial power control. Ha ha, you aren't bad either. At least you didn't become stupid after hiding for so many years. The Spatial Master laughed. The silver light in his palm flashed and the space suddenly distorted. Two silver spatial blades were just like scissors that extended towards the third seat king like lightning. Demonic chi surged from within the third seat king's body, and turned into a demonic chi light pillar that protected him. At the same time, it blocked the spatial blades. Both parties attacked at lightning speed. However, the frightening power contained within their attacks was clearly felt by Lin Dong. At such a level, every strike was the condensation of utmost power. They seemed to be quite similar in terms of strength. Lin Dong softly said after watching the two of them exchange blows. Although the Spatial Master and the Third Seat King had friendly smiles on their faces, their attacks were extremely vicious and ruthless. However, they were similar in strength, and it was difficult for either of them to obtain the upper hand in this fight. They have the strength of one who has experienced 3 reincarnation tribulations. If they simply fought in this manner, it would be extremely difficult to determine the victor. Ying Huan nodded gently and said, moreover, neither of them have any intentions of killing the other party. This fight will not last for long. Lin Dong nodded. They were clearly aware that neither of them was unable to kill the other party if this continued. Hence, their murderous intent was a little weak. Nevertheless, Lin Dong understood that they would one day have to fight to their deaths. Things would really be a little terrifying when that time came. Bang! Silver light and flashes of black interweaved in the sky. The two figures shook slightly, after which they stabilized their bodies. Spatial Master, you cannot kill me. Why waste time here? Are you waiting for something? The Third Seat King smiled coldly and asked. Aren't you also waiting? The Spatial Master smilingly said. Lin Dong helplessly shook his head when he saw the similarly false smiles that hid evil intentions on the two. This matter was becoming increasingly troublesome. Isolate those Yimo below. Lin Dong glanced at the somewhat chaotic martial gathering island. After which, he turned his head towards Ying Huan and said, Okay. Ying Huan nodded. With a wave of her hand, the air froze into ice. After which, the ice spread downwards like an ice wall and quickly isolated the entire martial gathering island. The Yimo were kept outside of the ice wall and were unable to enter. This technique of Ying Huan made Lin Dong involuntarily rub his nose. He was a little depressed. Ying Huan's icy cool hand could not help but grab Lin Dong's large hand as if sensing his mood. A faint smile surfaced on her cold and beautiful face. That momentarily smile was like a blooming snow lotus on an ice mountain. Ha! Little junior sister, you smiled. Before Lin Dong's breath could be taken away by her smile, the Spatial Master had already widened his eyes as he pointed at Ying Huan and cried out loud. Lin Dong looked at the Spatial Master, who currently appeared overly excited despite the impressive demeanor shown when he first appeared. He was neither able to laugh nor cry. The other ancient masters were all calm and steady. On the other hand, after he opened his mouth, the fellow who had looked rather impressive when he fought with the Third Seat King, now appeared very unique. Little junior sister, I never imagined that you would be so pretty when you smile. You should smile more often in future. In this way, all the seniors will have more strength to exterminate the Yimos. The Spatial Master approached and said with a grin. Shut up. Ying Huan clenched her teeth violently and glared at the Spatial Master. The Spatial Master laughed dryly. After which, he patted Lin Dong's shoulder and gave him a thumbs up. Brother, you are really awesome. You can even get hold of such an ice mountain. I only just awakened and my brain isn't working well. You must not take my words to heart. The Spatial Master's expression suddenly became grave before he could finish speaking, and he spoke to Lin Dong in an extremely serious manner. Lin Dong responded with a dry laugh. He had seen an ice sword extending from Ying Huanhuan's hand. After which, it was placed on the Spatial Master's waist. After causing mischief for a while, the Spatial Master's expression gradually turned grave as he softly remarked, "They are here." Lin Dong faintly nodded. He had also detected an extremely frightening ripple rapidly approaching under the sea. Cold chi suddenly gathered in Ying Huanhuan's hands. Her pretty icy blue eyes swept over the sea below. Bang! Soon after the voice of the ancient master sounded, a 10,000 feet whirlpool suddenly formed on the surface of the sea below. Overflowing demonic chi swept out from the whirlpool. Finally, 100,000 feet large black shadow suddenly shot out from within. Dusk descended the moment this black figure appeared. Lin Dong looked over, and his pupils slightly contracted when he saw the demonic figure. It was 100,000 feet large and its body was a metallic pitch black. Many ferocious-looking wounds covered its body. It did not have any eyes, only an enormous mouth filled with sharp black teeth. Moreover, 8 gigantic demonic arms extended from its huge body. Cosmic Evil Devil King. Lin Dong recognized it the moment it appeared. It was exactly the same as the Cosmic Evil Devil the 3 great heads of Yuan Gate had parasitic relation with back then. However, that ordinary Cosmic Evil Devil only had 4 demonic arms. This fellow, however, had 8. Additionally, the aura of this Cosmic Evil Devil King had reached an extremely terrifying level. Although this aura was currently unstable due to unrecovered heavy injuries, Lin Dong could faintly sense that this fellow was even stronger than the Third Seat King at its peak. No wonder the Flame Master had said that within Devil Prison, this Cosmic Evil Devil King was only a little weaker than the strongest Heaven Seat King. The Cosmic Evil Devil King appeared in the sky. It subsequently turned towards Ying Huanhuan and a roar, which seemed to have originated from countless wild beasts, was emitted. "Ice Master? You are indeed still alive." This Cosmic Evil Devil King clearly possessed great intelligence. Although it did not have any eyes, it was still able to sense Ying Huanhuan's existence. "It is unexpected that a beast like you has escaped." Ying Huanhuan's pretty eyes were icy as she looked at the Cosmic Evil Devil King and said, "Ha ha, we really exhausted ourselves in order to rescue him." Laughter was suddenly transmitted from the shoulder of the Cosmic Demon King, as 2 figures slowly appeared. Subsequently, they bowed slightly towards Ying Huanhuan. "Ice Master, it has been over 10,000 years since we met. How have you been?" "Oh. It is the 4th Seat King and the 5th Seat King, looks like all of you have turned up." The Spatial Master looked at the 2 figures. His eyes hardened slightly as he smilingly said. Lin Dong grabbed his lightning bow tightly. His eyes were filled with caution. The lineup in front of him was indeed far too frightening. 3 of the top 5 seated kings from Devil Prison had come. If the Cosmic Evil Devil King was included, it would mean that there were 4 peak experts comparable with those who had experienced 3 reincarnation tribulations. We didn't have a choice. It wasn't easy to deal with the Flame Master. Otherwise, how could we rescue the Cosmic Evil Devil King? The 4th Seat King smiled faintly and replied. "The fellow you are speaking of has arrived." The Spatial Master responded with a grin. Clouds suddenly ignited in the horizon as he spoke as a fiery glow swept over. In an instant, it appeared in the sky above the island. The fiery glow faded. It was the Flame Master. However, the current Flame Master had a somewhat messy hair. His expression appeared rather ugly. It was evident that he had experienced an intense battle earlier. He first glanced towards Lin Dong and the Spatial Master. After which, his eyes shot towards Ying Huanhuan and he spoke in a helpless voice. "I was caught off guard, and they managed to rescue the Cosmic Evil Devil King." Ying Huanhuan nodded slightly but did not say anything. "Heh, it has not been so lively for so many years." The 3rd Seat King lazily stretched his waist. He smilingly looked at Ying Huanhuan's group before extending his finger to count. "It seems that our side has an advantage in terms of numbers. Why don't we finish all of you off here?" "Ha ha, so what if you have an advantage in numbers?" How can I be missing at such a moment? However, a thunderous laughter resounded over the sky just as the voice of the third Seat King faded. Lin Dong's heart shook a little. He turned his head and saw a 10,000 feet purple gold radiance erupt from the Chaos Tower. This is going to be really interesting. Lin Dong involuntarily sighed softly upon seeing this. Was the Chaos Master also about to come out? From the looks of it, could it be that they intended to begin a huge battle here? Purple gold light shot out from the Chaos Tower in all directions, illuminating and making the sea within 1,000 miles shimmer. The demonic chi in the sky that had been brought by the cosmic evil Devil King was swiftly forced back in the face of this light. Sunlight poured down from the sky once again. Chaos Master. The eyes of the third Seat King's group hardened a little at this moment. Atop the Chaos Tower, an incomparably titanic figure slowly appeared from within the purple gold light. The figure expanded at a frightening speed. In the end, it also reached 100,000 feet in size. It was now just as big as the cosmic evil Devil King. Ha ha, to encounter such excitement the moment I come out. Looks like I have really good luck. The purple gold giant heartily chuckled at the heavens. His laughter was just like thunder. Huge waves rose on the surface of the sea, and even tornadoes seemed to have been formed because of his laughter. Humph! A low snort was emitted from the huge and sinister mouth of the cosmic evil Devil King. Demonic chi soared and blocked the overwhelming purple gold light. Evil creature, you are really tenacious. To think that you survived even in such a state. The Chaos Master looked at the cosmic evil Devil King and involuntarily shook his head. His tone appeared quite regretful. Back then, they had spent a great effort in order to seriously injure this cosmic evil Devil King. Only then were they able to suppress and seal it. He never imagined that it would manage to escape. If not for the tricks you people pulled back then, there was no telling just who would have lost. The cosmic evil Devil King's dark and solemn voice resounded over the sky. We can have another fight now if you aren't satisfied. The Chaos Master looked at the cosmic evil Devil King as astonishing battle intent rose from his titanic body. Ha ha, there is no need to hurry. We have plenty of opportunities. When the time comes, we do not have any intention of letting you off. The third Seat King smilingly waved his hand and said. Although they currently had the numerical advantage, the cosmic evil Devil King had only just escaped from being suppressed, and had yet to regain its strength. It would be difficult for a victor to be decided if they were to fight. Hence, now was not the best time. At that time, I'm afraid that you will not have a second chance to hide. The Flame Master slowly said. Flame Master, it is not wise to make such conclusions now. The fourth Seat King also smiled. However, his eyes were filled with an extremely sinister murderous desire. This time around, it is likely that you will be the ones who lose. Moreover, we will not allow you any chances to turn things around. This world will ultimately come under the control of us Yimo. I really wish to give it a try. The Spatial Master faintly smiled and said. Those silver eyes of his flickered with an icy silver luster. Both parties faced off while distinct powerful auras surged. They were all peak-level experts of this world. The countless lives on this plane were in the palm of their hands. You will have a chance, but it is better to wait for now. You wish for the Ice Master to completely recover, while we wish for the Heaven Seat King to be fully healed. At that time, let's settle the scores from back then. The third Seat King glanced at Ying Huan. After which, he softly laughed, we have already achieved our aim this time around and will be taking our leave. He paused, before he continued, additionally, the Second World War can be considered to have begun. However, the ones who will lose this time will be you guys. Ha ha. The third Seat King waved his sleeve after his laughter sounded, and monstrous demonic chi unfurled. It turned into a huge demonic chi vortex in the sky above them. As the vortex rotated, their bodies entered. The numerous Yimo below also charged over like locusts. The demonic chi vortex rotated rapidly. In the end, it quickly vanished. After the disappearance of the Yimo, the demonic chi that enveloped the area also quickly faded. Warm sunlight scattered down from the sky once again and shone onto the island. Lin Dong watched as the sky returned to its peaceful state and heaved a sigh in relief. He was aware that the reason a huge battle did not erupt today was because the Heaven Seat King and Second Seat King had not revealed themselves. Additionally, the Cosmic Evil Devil King had also yet to recover its fighting strength. Devil Prison naturally would not choose to start a war at such a time. Nevertheless, Lin Dong had a premonition that this day would not be far off in the future. The Chaos Master's giant body also quickly shrunk. After which, he turned into a 20 feet tall metal tower-like figure whose skin flickered with purple-gold light. An indescribable strength emanated from him. In terms of physical body, it was likely that this Chaos Master could be considered the strongest in the world. Ha ha, thank you for your protection this time around. The Chaos Master looked at Lin Dong as he cupped his hands together and smilingly said. Lin Dong smiled bitterly and shook his head. I was of little help. With his current strength, he could only fight against experts within Devil Prison on the level of the 7-Seat King. Above them were experts like the 3rd-Seat King, who had experienced 3 reincarnation tribulations. Lin Dong was powerless against such individuals. It would be difficult for Lin Dong to intervene in situations like the previous face-off. This undoubtedly caused him to sigh inwardly. His strength was indeed insufficient in spite of his overwhelming hard work. Ying Huan involuntarily tightened her grip on Lin Dong's hand upon feeling the heaviness in his expression. The latter detected this and smiled at her. He would not easily give up no matter how difficult the situation was. By the side, the Flame Master, Spatial Master, and Chaos Master exchanged glances after witnessing this scene. Their expressions were a little strange. No one knew what they were thinking. Perhaps the Thunderbolt Master and Darkness Master will hurry over soon. The Flame Master looked at Ying Huan and said. Lin Dong was a little shocked. If even the Thunderbolt Master and Darkness Master came, it meant that other than the already dead Devouring Master, practically all of the 8 ancient masters would have gathered. Let's head to the island first, Lin Dong said. The Flame Masters group looked at Ying Huan upon hearing this. The latter nodded before pulling Lin Dong and rushing towards the island. The Flame Master trio glanced at the 2 figures. Their eyes flickered a little. Flame Master, what is this situation? The Spatial Master hesitated for a moment before asking. Looking at how Ying Huan was acting, her feelings towards Lin Dong were obviously not shallow. The Flame Master shook his head helplessly. The expression in his eyes were a little complicated as he said, she understands. He did not say anything else and shot forward. The Spatial Master and Chaos Master looked at each other and smiled bitterly before they quickly followed. Martial Gathering Island had turned into a state of complete chaos due to the earlier battle. Lin Dong's group directly entered a pavilion. Soon after, Qingtan and the leaders from the Heaven Wind Sea region followed. Other than Qingtan, however, the expressions of the others were filled with respect and fear as they looked at the group in the building. None of them dared to approach. Clearly, they had also witnessed the appearance of the Chaos Master earlier. Moreover, the auras from the others were just as strong as the Chaos Master. After some thought, they could vaguely guess something from the clues available. It was as though a storm was raging in their hearts. After all, these were the peak-level experts who were renowned since ancient times. The few people sat idly in the building while the others did not dare to approach. Lin Dong had no choice but to instruct Qingtan to serve everyone tea. After which, the building became a little quiet. Ying Huan sat beside Lin Dong. Her long icy blue hair fell along her narrow waist while her pretty eyes stared at the ground. Her fingers gently played with a strand of hair, but she did not speak. No one knew what the Flame Master trio were thinking as they maintained their silence. Lin Dong could only laugh bitterly in his heart upon seeing this. All he could do was to allow this to continue. This silence continued for 2 hours, before Ying Huan slowly lifted her head. Her pretty eyes peered into the distance as she said, "They are here." The faint rumble of thunder was suddenly heard from afar after her voice sounded. Soon after, a bolt of lightning flashed across the sky. In the next instant, a figure had already appeared in the building. His appearance was that of the Thunderbolt Master. Soon after the Thunderbolt Master appeared, the originally bright sky suddenly turned to darkness, while Qingtan involuntarily let out a soft exclamation from her mouth. This darkness lasted for a single breath before Lin Dong's group turned their eyes towards an empty seat in the building. Unknowingly, a black armored figure was already lazily sitting in it. The latter lifted her unusually deep and pretty black eyes and scanned everyone. Finally, she paused on Ying Huan. Only then did a smile surface on her face. "Little junior sister, it has been a long time since we last saw each other. Did you miss senior sister?" Ying Huan glanced at the darkness master as ripples appeared within her icy blue eyes. She softly replied, "It is good that nothing has happened to senior sister. I am not fools like them. How could anything possibly happen to me?" The darkness master smilingly said. She glanced at Lin Dong by the side and surprise flashed across her eyes. "Not bad, little fellow. You actually reached the reincarnation stage. However, there is still a big gap between you and little junior sister. Back then, you swore. Senior sister." Ying Huan's crescent-like eyebrows bunched together. Her voice was slightly raised. "All right, I'll stop." The darkness master gracefully waved her hand. She turned towards the Flame Master. "The Cosmic Devil Evil King has been rescued." The Flame Master nodded. "We were unprepared for their schemes. It seems that our planning was inferior to theirs." The Spatial Master said. "These fellows are still as cunning as ever. Originally, I wanted to probe where they are hiding. Instead, I ended up being used by them. They trapped me and used the opening to rescue the Cosmic Evil Devil King." The Thunderbolt Master clenched his teeth and said, "You are always so reckless. It would be strange if nothing happened." The Darkness Master rolled her eyes and said. The Thunderbolt Master smiled in embarrassment upon hearing this. "They have already rescued the Cosmic Evil Devil King. Next, they will do all they can to aid the Heaven Seat King's recovery." The Flame Master slowly said. "If the Heaven Seat King manages to fully recover, I guess that the Second World War will officially begin." Everyone in the building became silent upon hearing the name Heaven Seat King. Wariness flitted across their eyes. Soon after, they suddenly turned towards Ying Huan. Ying Huan held a jade green cup in her hand. She gazed upon the pretty reflection on her tea. In the end, she sighed, and her faint voice reverberated within the building. "Let's activate the Ancestral Citadel." Ancestral Citadel? As these two words began to spread within the building, the expressions of the Darkness Masters group became focused. Then, they turned their attention towards Ying Huan, before they hesitated for a moment and asked, "Are you sure about this?" Ying Huan nodded. "What is the Ancestral Citadel?" When Lin Dong saw their expressions, he felt a little uneasy in his heart as he quickly asked. Ying Huan lifted her pretty face. Then, she used her pretty icy blue eyes to look at Lin Dong before she smilingly said, "It is a citadel left behind by teacher. Your mental energy cultivation is currently at the Supreme Symbol Master level and you have yet to form a divine palace, am I right?" Lin Dong nodded. After one's mental energy reached his level, the next step will be to transform one's Niwen palace into a divine palace. Typically speaking, this was considered to be the peak mental energy cultivation level, and it was called the Divine Palace Master level. However, since the beginning of time, the number of people who managed to reach this level could be counted on one hand. Although Lin Dong was extremely talented in mental energy, he was still unable to transform his Niwen palace into a divine palace. Furthermore, he knew that this was going to be a very difficult step to take. "Are you planning to let him enter the Ancestral Citadel in order to form a divine palace?" The Darkness Master glanced at Lin Dong before speaking. "It's no mean feat to advance to that level. Amongst all of us, besides you, the rest of us are merely considered to be at the half step to Divine Palace Master level. He should be able to do so." Ying Huan said. "What would that Ancestral Citadel do to you?" Lin Dong stared at Ying Huan. He could sense that she was beating around the bush, and it seemed like she was intentionally avoiding this topic. The Ancestral Citadel has the divine effect of aiding one's training. Once the time is ripe, we will open it and allow the samsara stage experts in this world to enter it. Typically speaking, there will be a 30% chance that one will make a successful breakthrough. Ying Huan continued. Lin Dong frowned as he stared at Ying Huan. Meanwhile, the latter also used her icy blue pretty eyes to stare back at him. For some unknown reason, tensions were rising between the two of them. Cough. The Darkness Master involuntarily coughed softly after she saw both their demeanor. Then, she spoke towards Lin Dong, in a tone that suggested a deeper meaning. Lin Dong, there are some things in this world that you can only change if you possess sufficient strength. As of now, you do not possess sufficient strength. Entering the Ancestral Citadel will allow you to possess the qualifications. Is that so? Lin Dong did not look at the Darkness Master. Instead, he was only looking at Ying Huan. Ying Huan nodded gently before she said, "Trust me, all right? Entering the Ancestral Citadel will be beneficial to you." Lin Dong slowly withdrew his attention. After all, what more could he say at a juncture like this? "Yang, you should stop hiding. There are so many old friends here. Aren't you going to come out and greet us?" The Spatial Master stared at Lin Dong's body before he suddenly said. After his voice sounded, a warm light was promptly emitted from within Lin Dong's body, before Yang appeared in a flash. As he looked at the many familiar faces in front of him, he sighed emotionally before he shook his head helplessly. "Yang, we may need your help in order to open the Ancestral Citadel." Ying Huan looked at Yang and said. Yang looked at Ying Huan before his lips moved. However, in the end, he laughed bitterly before he nodded his head. When the Flame Master saw this, he coughed softly before he said, "Besides, the day the Cosmic Evil Devil King managed to escape, many other Yimo, who were being suppressed, also managed to do so. Currently, the chaotic demon sea is in chaos. Furthermore, it seems like the Devil Prison is no longer holding back. Just like what they said, it seems like the next World War has already begun. They are planning to take advantage of the chaos to tie us down." The Spatial Master fondled his chin, before a thoughtful glint flashed across his silver eyes. "Moreover, I constantly feel like they are working on something." The Flame Master and the rest nodded gently. There was a large number of Yimo and they were all extremely powerful. In fact, no single faction in the chaotic demon sea could stop them by themselves. Therefore, if these Yimo were allowed to roam around unchecked, it would likely lead to heavy casualties in the chaotic demon sea. "Let's form an alliance within the chaotic demon sea." Lin Dong pondered for a moment before he suggested. If they did not band the many large factions in the chaotic demon sea together, it was likely that all the factions would be devoured separately by the Yimo. An alliance, huh? It is possible, however, it is going to be a little difficult to get it done. The Chaos Master nodded. One would definitely have to exhaust a great amount of effort in order to establish such a huge alliance. Clearly, they were unable to do so by themselves. We do not need to establish an alliance by ourselves. There is a top faction in the chaotic demon sea called the Flame Divine Hall. Its current hall chief is also the owner of the blazing ancestral symbol. Moreover, the Flame Divine Hall is quite influential. Together with the threat from the Yimo, it would not be difficult to establish an alliance as long as we provide them with some guidance. Lin Dong continued. Given Tang Xinlian's leadership abilities, it was likely that she was the best candidate to handle the complicated task of running such a massive alliance. Of course, I might need a few of you to help out as well. After all, in the chaotic demon sea, there are numerous powerful factions and tribes with a long history and solid foundation. The most powerful tribe in the chaotic demon sea was not the human tribe. Instead, it was the sea demon tribe. Moreover, it was going to be an uphill battle to convince them to join the alliance. The sea demon tribe, it will be fine after I make a trip over there. I have a close relationship with the ancestors of the large clans within the sea demon tribe. The Chaos Master said. To begin with, the Chaos Master was from the sea giant clan within the sea demon tribe. Therefore, once he makes a move, it shouldn't be difficult to convince the sea demon tribe to join the alliance. Ying Huan softly said. Lin Dong glanced at her and stopped speaking. Instead, he merely nodded his head. In that case, let's head to the Flame Divine Hall tomorrow. The Yimo have been on a rampage over the last 2 months, and it is likely that the various large factions in the chaotic Demon Sea have suffered tremendously. Therefore, rounding them up at this moment will be much more effective. Lin Dong said. After the crowd heard this, none of them objected. Subsequently, everyone glanced at Ying Huan and Lin Dong before they left. Qingtan also hesitated for a moment upon seeing this. Finally, she left as well. In the blink of an eye, only the two of them were left in this huge building. Lin Dong looked at Ying Huan, who was lowering her head and refusing to talk, before he helplessly shook his head. Then, he suddenly stood up and it appeared as though he was about to leave. When she saw this, Ying Huan bit her lips before she clenched her hand tightly. Meanwhile, a horrible sensation emerged within her heart. However, Lin Dong did not leave in the end. Instead, he walked to the front of Ying Huan before he extended his hand and held her icy jade-like delicate small hand. Then, he exerted a little force and pulled her into his embrace. His arms were hugging her soft and delicate waist, while he buried his head gently within her cool icy blue long hair. "Have you regained your memory?" Lin Dong asked. The way she acted today was clearly a little different from her usual self. A little, therefore, I recognize them and recall certain things. Ying Huan hesitated for a moment before she said. Lin Dong nodded. It's no wonder she had an in-depth knowledge regarding certain matters from the ancient times. Don't worry. As of now, I am still Ying Huan. Ying Huan smiled. Clearly, she knew what Lin Dong was worried about. Regardless of what happens, don't lie to me. Can you do that, please? Lin Dong nodded. As he sniffed the faint fragrance that entered his nostrils, his arms continued to hug the person in his embrace. Meanwhile, his voice was a little hoarse as he said. Ying Huan also placed her face on his shoulder. Her breath struck Lin Dong's neck as she softly acknowledged. However, soon after, she muttered to herself in a voice that only she could hear, I do not wish to lie to you either. It was a long while later before Lin Dong finally left. After which, Ying Huan walked to the front of the building. Then, she used her pretty eyes to look at the darkened ocean. A sea breeze blew over and caused her long hair to flutter gently with the wind. Are you really going to let him enter the Ancestral Citadel? A voice was suddenly transmitted from behind her. She turned around and saw the Darkness Master leaning on a pillar. Meanwhile, the latter's delicate hands were wrapped around her chest, while her black pretty eyes were staring at Ying Huan. He needs to form the Divine Palace. Ying Huan said. If we want to open the Ancestral Citadel, we need at least 6 ancient masters to work together. Therefore, you must use the power that you have been suppressing. However, after you use that power, it is not going to be an easy task to suppress it once again. The Darkness Master said. In the past, your power was extremely frightening. However, it also froze all your emotions. Are you certain that you can continue to treat him in the same way once you regain your power? Ying Huan sat on a long bench. She folded her long legs, while her long icy blue hair scattered down, causing her to appear somewhat meek, I know. However, nothing is perfect in this world. The Devil Prison is definitely working on something. In fact, I can feel that the Heaven Seek King seems to be recovering quickly. The Darkness Master came to her side and sighed softly. She held her icy body and felt some heartache. This had been the case even in those ancient times. That heavy burden, which none of them could carry, had to land on this girl's soft shoulders. In fact, the Darkness Master recalled that many years ago, when she first met the latter was also a cute and lively little girl. However, the smile on that girl's face gradually disappeared. This was especially the case after Teacher told her that he was about to die, and that it was up to her to protect every life in this world. At that time, every single one of them realized that this girl had begun to freeze all her emotions in order to control her power. In reality, I am quite thankful to that little fellow. At the very least, he allowed you to experience emotions once again, the Darkness Master muttered. Do not tell him about this. Ying Huan said. Otherwise, given his character, there is no way he will enter the Ancestral Citadel. Even at a time like this, you are still thinking on his behalf. The Darkness Master said helplessly. Ying Huan leaned into the Darkness Master's embrace. Then, she said, actually, I know that he wants to surpass me. In that case, he can confidently ask me to stay behind him. What wishful thinking. The Darkness Master curled her lips. If it was really so simple to surpass little junior sister, why would teacher hand such a heavy burden to her? Ying Huan merely laughed gently. I believe in him. The Darkness Master was startled. She lowered her head to look at Ying Huan. Currently, the corner of the latter's lips were lifted into a warm and gentle arc. Meanwhile, her pretty eyes were exceptionally bright. He will do it. Within the building, there was unquestioning faith within that girl's soft voice. This episode ends here.